I'm opening up my meeting minutes. I do need to know who else is there. Hello?
All right, perfect.
Oh, yeah.
We
Oh, okay.
will let you know. Okay, so we can
Okay.
call to order at 6:52 p.m. And as far as SAB members present, we have Rich, Melody, Larry, and Chris. And then our sustainability coordinator, Leah, is here. Town administrator Miranda is here. And we have Sam from ProSab, last name Ovet, O-V-E-T-T. And Jesse Sievers here, who you're the ProSab liaison for the BOT, right? Perfect.
Yep.
And then I see Tanya. Which Tanya is that?
Hey, Tanya from the farmer's market.
Tanya Corvalon. All right, perfect. She is also in the BOT. You got everyone, Larry?
I do. Thank you. Excellent.
All right. Well, thank you all for being here, and welcome back, Jesse, to SAB meetings. I know that you were on the SAB board back when I first joined it. So
Yeah.
good to have you back here.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
Yeah. And the first thing on our agenda, I believe, is ProSab and the proposal of their pump track. So you guys go ahead and take it away.
All right, we will jump on in. We had some good progress. I've got a presentation that we'll walk through, and it's not too crazy, so don't worry. But the main success that we've had so far with talking about the pump track and moving it forward is twofold. One is at the last ProSab meeting, we all voted unanimously, which was great, to pursue the funding for the design and engineering process for the pump track, essentially. And that was in the context of looking at the NDDA funding availability for that portion of the project. And what it allows us to do, I'm giving you the big picture, is essentially then take that very detailed, specific plan and go raise the money to build the full track to the standards and level that we're excited about and want to bring to the town. So that's the big picture there. Jesse, anything to add immediately before I dive into what we're asking from SAB specifically?
No, basically a vote of endorsement at the end of the day.
Yeah, right. And so that's SAB, what we're asking you. And so I want to walk through the aspects of where we're at with it, what the goal is, and also just share a little bit of the community input that we've gotten, because we've gotten 171 people who signed a petition in support of a pump track with comments and all kinds of ways that they're interested in volunteering and being a part of it. So what I want to do, go ahead, Jesse.
Just wanted to also just offer the context that this is the Nederland planning process that we're engaged in right now. So the Nederland planning process to acquire any asset for the town, we need to go in front of every volunteer board and get their input, and ultimately do what we can to gain your support. So you guys are the first stop we've made after ProSab kind of launched us out of the gate. So hopefully you guys are you have the honorary position of our first stop after ProSab.
Exactly. So let me just pull up an image specifically of where we're talking about putting the pump track. I think that's important. And then we'll talk a little bit about the actual details of it. And then you can ask us questions and we can move forward from there. So hold on, having trouble finding the image, sorry. Jesse, do you happen to have that image handy of where it's drawn?
Let me, I have that slide deck.
Cool.
Should I do a screen share? Can I do a screen?
Yeah, that'd be great. I had the other presentation up, but I realized that doesn't have the actual specific image of where the location is, and I think that's important for everybody to know.
It's making me go into my settings in order to do this screen share. Does anyone else have a quick access to a screen share that I can just text a link and then they can pull this up?
Jesse, if you want to just put the link in the chat, I can pull it up.
Okay, cool.
And Larry, just for record, I have the Gavin Coombs that also joined us online.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's see if you can get that to display, Miranda. Cool.
Awesome.
Great.
So Miranda, can you take us to the slide where there's the drawn black line on where it is? Yes, perfect. So everyone looking at this is where in Chipeta Park, we're looking at putting the pump track. And the great thing is that Nikki Dunn does everyone know who Nikki Dunn is here?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we all know.
All right, great. So she's in support of this location and excited about it. So that's obviously like a very important aspect of this. And what we're looking at is roughly where that black line is where the pump track would go. And any questions about location for starters? I want to open that aspect of it up, and then we'll move on to the different sort of design considerations that we have and the process for doing it.
One question I had, it was about a year ago, we got a presentation on this.
You did,
I remember
from me.
pretty well. Yeah, it was great. It was great. Welcome back.
We're happy to be here.
So my only question is I can't see visually, but is it the same location that you had presented in Chipeta last year?
Yes, it is. No different. The only difference here that's happened is we've gone through the different boards and just kind of had to take a step back, because what we did is looked at the approach to it. And I'm just going to address this up front. We looked at the approach to it, and originally we were thinking, oh, we'll just build a dirt pump track. We'll get it in quick. Jesse will make it happen. And then in doing a lot of research, we found out that we needed to reconsider the surface materials being used so that it could be used a lot more of the year. And so that's why we're bringing it back through in a more formal process, because we have to go back through the process because there's been changes to the thought process. But the location's the same.
Great, thank you. Great.
Okay.
I
Cool.
like the location. That's my own opinion.
Awesome. And then we'll do a few more questions here, and then I'll jump into the presentation. That way we can cover all the details and then open up questions from there.
Is that grass where it's located currently irrigated in the summer?
So go ahead, Jesse. I'll let you answer that one because you're better in that regard.
Well, yes and no. It has a defunct irrigation system in place that Nikki says is in need of a complete renovation, reinstallation. So she's essentially poised to tear that ground up and redo the irrigation system anyway.
So as it's currently standing, it's not actually going to save water by not irrigating it because the system is defunct, but it might save water in the future if it wasn't to be a pump track and they re-irrigated it.
Yeah, good question. And yes, I think that's yes, something we haven't necessarily thought through yet, but that's a good consideration. Appreciate you kind of asking that question.
Any more questions on location before we dive into the rest? Cool. If we're going to go ahead and move forward on this, then Miranda, can you go back just one slide? I want everybody to get a visual of the type of pump track that we're interested in having built. And so these are the type of pump tracks. This is an example track, not the specific track we're looking at, that we're interested in putting in there. And the big benefits of this type of track is that the surface accommodates not just bikes. So we've got scooters, people on roller skates, wheelchairs, skateboards. Everybody can ride this type of track. And it's a very easy to maintain surface with essentially, I'm not going to say zero maintenance, but close to zero maintenance. The only maintenance we have to do over time is if there's asphalt cracks, which over time, little ones will develop. Any basic asphalt crew can go in and put a patch in with asphalt, just the same kind of stuff used on the roads for this track. And so this is the intention of what we're looking at now. And we actually met with someone from the Broomfield pump track that was part of their maintenance crew. And I've got a video, I can play it, or I'll send it to you all so you can see it. That's probably easier instead of doing it here. But essentially, we were asking about their maintenance schedule on their dirt versus their asphalt track. And they said that anytime it rains or snows, what they have to do is go in and shut the track down. Somebody's got to enforce that being shut down and not ridden, which we don't have the capacity to do on a dirt track. And on their asphalt track, all they had to do was shovel some snow off, and anybody could do that. It doesn't have to be, we could have a shovel there essentially that people could utilize if we wanted, and you can ride it immediately. And he said that in our climate and location up here, looking at our weather patterns, our track would be shut down roughly, half the year, if not a little bit more. And knowing the resources that we currently have, this is why we took a step back and went this approach of looking at it as a hard surface track that has very, very low maintenance needs and lasts a really long time. So I want to show you some pictures of other communities nearby that have done tracks like this from the company that we've been in talks with to do the design and engineering process. So if we can scoot forward 2 slides, Miranda. This is an overview of the Valmont pump track. Has anybody been to that one?
Yes.
Yeah. Anybody on the SAB board been to that one? It's down in Boulder at the Valmont Park. So regardless, if you haven't, I'd encourage you to go take a look, and that way you can experience really close to us what it looks like. Go another slide, Amanda, or Miranda. I'm sorry, I don't know why I say that sometimes. Here's a video of one in Denver built by this same company.
All right, guys, I'm out of breath. I'm here at an all-new pump track with my son, Ben, here in Montbello, which is the east side of Denver. It's pretty rad. So let's get a lay of the land. One thing is these corners are pretty steep, but they're not as steep as some of the other ones. So you could still rail them, but a little bit more kid friendly.
Right, I think it's probably backwards. Hey, Miranda, you can watch this one.
What do you think about this track?
This is the wrong way.
This track is really good if you got kids who are just like.
So thank you. Sorry, I know it's kind of hard to hear me over that. So that's, I just wanted everybody to have like a very clear understanding of, you know, what this could look like. We'll move on to the next slide. We'll hit some of the benefits about it. I think a lot of the benefits are pretty clear to most of us, but I wanted to cover them just in case. Number one, we get another recreation outlet, and it's great for all ages. And it's a safe, fun way to get out, exercise, be on a bike, and it's in town. So it's bringing more of the community into town. And it's a great opportunity for families to spend time together. One of the unique opportunities that we have is because we're putting it in Chipeta Park, you can have family members on the playground, on the pump track, on the basketball court, all the different aspects of the park that are there in one central location. Economically, it brings people into town. So it is a boost. These are a boost to local economies because people seek out pump tracks, and they'll come, they'll be excited. And obviously if people are here, especially people in the bike world, they're going to spend money going to restaurants, stores, and staying, you know, in local lodging. So it doesn't hurt. It helps stimulate the local economy in a way. And so that's something that's another positive attribute. And the hard surface track, which is what we're proposing at this point, is really inclusive because it allows skateboards, bikes, scooters, wheelchairs, anything with wheels can ride on this track. We don't have any limitations. Like the skate park, we do have some limitations because of the surface material, but the surface material we're talking about and looking at for this allows us to accommodate all these different ways of recreating. So you don't have to have a bike to be able to enjoy it, which is great. Because a skateboard or a scooter is, you know, oftentimes a lot less expensive than a bike. So really everybody can have an opportunity to enjoy it pretty reasonably. And then just a big factor that I think for me makes a ton of sense is it improves the quality of life in the area. It gives us these really constructive ways to spend time outdoors. And in the Envision process, it's been shown that like things like this, amenities of this kind, that are wanted in the community. So that's the benefits. We'll pop through the rest of the slides, but we've really covered the bulk of this, and then I'll discuss the specific next steps. So Miranda, if you could just go through the next slides. This is a fun little support video of kids locally to Nederland. You can play it. It's short.
Coolest thing in the world.
By the time she's able to do full power,
You're jogging with me right now.
I know.
she's faster.
This is just the first time she's ever gone out. By the time she learns how to do it, she's just gonna be ripping.
By the time she learns how to do like the full power mode, which I can't even do yet.
Jesse, is this the video with the different kids saying that they're excited about it?
No, we have that on the website.
Okay, you can pause this one. Sorry. I mean, you know, this is just kids being stoked about bikes and that Jesse compiled. So let's scoot on to the next slide. Move on to the next slide. This is ProSab specific and not necessarily here. We're proposing it at Chipeta Park. The size is 10 to 15,000 square feet of track surface. We've talked about this stuff. What I want to be really specific about is that we're going to be looking for up to $15,000 in funding for the design and engineering process, which is essentially our prerequisite to getting the $200,000 to $500,000 that we need to find and raise for the actual pump track build process. And I know that might sound like quite a bit of money to folks, but that's something that Jesse and I are willing to invest our time going after and finding the resources for, which there's a lot in the bike community. And in fact, we're sending Jesse and Nikki to a conference all about bike features and all kinds of bike amenities in communities here. When's that, Jesse? In April, the beginning of April?
Yeah, first week in April.
In Bentonville, Arkansas, which is, many of you may or may not know, it's the kind of become the capital of building bike amenities in America, and seeing an amazing example of rallying a community around bikes. And the other big benefit is there are folks from the Walmart Foundation who will be there, and those same folks have already expressed an interest in having discussions with us here about amenities and trails and things of that nature. So we are starting the process of looking at, okay, where does this funding come from? And the other thing, just to not be scared of, is that this is the price, the going price that all these other communities around us have raised money and found money for. So it's out there and it exists. And we're already working on setting up meetings and introductions through the American Ramp Company, who would be doing the design and engineering process with those other communities, to learn from them what they did from a funding perspective. Maintenance is minimal. Occasional asphalt patchwork, we talked a little bit about that, but we're guessing about $1,000 a year, compared to every 3 to 4 weeks having to pay someone to do berm work on a dirt track that's not a hard surface and things of that nature. One thing that I'll let Jesse speak to a little bit is just being able to help design the drainage so that we get aesthetically the ability to grow flowers or grass or whatever we might like in the middle, unless we do sort of a xeriscape, and that's still up in the air.
Let's cruise through the rest of the slides quickly, and then we can get into any of that based on
Okay, cool.
questions.
That sounds good. These are considerations that we're talking to American Ramp Company about: landscaping, amount of the wall rides, different features that are incorporated, density of the track, longer straights versus compact rolling berms, and any extra work that might be included as part of it, just so everybody's aware. You can go to the next slide there, Miranda. More budget stuff. So these are the different ranges of budget based on track size. And so that's why we're asking ultimately at our final stop for the support of up to $15,000. And then we'll see what we need of that to get the design and engineering process, so that we can then go after grants and different monies with a very, very specific plan. And so I'll let anybody ask questions about this here at the end. Miranda, is there any more slides here? Just remind me. There's just more examples of other tracks in the area. We can run through these. This is Erie, Colorado, Stapleton, Colorado. We can send you all this link so you can look at all the different tracks that this company's designed. And then this is the Boulder one that's in Valmont, just another picture of that. So at this point, what we're asking the SAB board is to essentially go ahead and vote in support or not, of course, whatever you feel, of going after getting a pump track built in our community. So I'll open the floor up for questions, and we'll go from there.
I'll kick it off here.
Yeah, sure.
So, I mean, first of all, adding any bike infrastructure to town is something I'm 100% in favor of, whatever it is. I think we need to do far more than we have in terms of trails and features and just even business support. I know we've got businesses who we're still waiting to get their bike racks installed, and that was something they were supposed to do before they even reopened their business, but that's another matter entirely. My question here is, with regards to a pump track, what was the reason we decided to go with a pump track in the first place, as opposed to sort of an bike feature, something like a feature park, something with, balance beams and teeter totters and sort of a skills course as opposed to a pump track. I'm just curious how we came down on the side of a pump track to begin with.
It's a good question. Actually, we're pursuing both at this point and have an interest in both, but we're only bringing the pump track through from a consideration perspective at the moment, because one of the initial challenges, we did a walkthrough of some land for feature specific, what's the appropriate thing to call that? I'll just call it like sort of gravity feature specific stuff for bikes. And the big question was, where are we going to put it land wise? And if we're going to do that, we'd like to incorporate downhill specific features and aspects of it. So it makes sense to put it somewhere that's got some downhill already. You know what I mean? And so we're actually looking at that now, and we did some walkthroughs first. Yeah, right. And so we're in the process of looking at where we'd put something like that. And there are some things on the table, but I'm not going to like mention any of them now, because it doesn't make sense to, because I don't have, we don't have sort of final say on anything that's available.
It's premature.
Yeah, it's premature. Exactly. And it'll end up in the paper if I start talking about it, and and it'll confuse everybody. So that's something that, Jesse, I'll let you speak to in terms of what you're willing to donate your time outside of your role and in the role of your company to build specifically. So if you want to just speak to that momentarily, because it is a good question.
Yeah, definitely. I have an appetite for more bike features in town as well, Chris. I appreciate your support and also just being a kindred spirit on two wheels with the rest of us. It's great just to be aligned on that. And I offered to do some volunteer labor with my construction company, my earth moving company, to build some bike specific terrain in town on public land. So it's very much a where to put it kind of thing, and everyone wants to have a say so, as they should, about what's going to be bordering their residence. And it's there's definitely a strong spirit of people having a say so about what's going on in their quote unquote backyard, even if it is public land. So that is a much larger campaign. So with regards to the pump track, however, there is still room to do, for instance, some other features that would be non-pump track features, like some
teeter totters
rides or
like
some
that.
teeter totters or some different things, or even a kid's version of a pump track, still within the space. So kind of as we drew that dog leg that kind of goes around the basketball court, there's still much smaller kind of footprint area on the other side of the basketball court that could house a kid's pump track or some of those features that you mentioned. And then also, if we do really well with our fundraising and we get a budget that's ample to do some extra stuff like a wall ride or anything else, we could explore doing some of those other features that you're getting at. And that's definitely, I would love it. So that'll kind of come out in the design process. So if we can get 15 grand to engage in a design process, then American Ramp Company will come and we'll do some more community meetings, and we'll custom tailor our own version of what our pump track would be ultimately. And it could very well include lots of the things that you mentioned.
There's one more thing I should add, is they have been on site because they were here for launching the Erie pump track, and they let us know, and we said, oh, we'd love to have you guys up here to have a look at the site, just to like make sure that we're talking about a viable space for an exciting pump track that wasn't crappy, essentially is like the simple way to say it. And they came out, walked the site with us, and they said, yeah, we can definitely do something really cool here. So that's just something to share. They have been on site with us, and they came up since they were already in the area.
Mm-hmm.
Courtesy.
Well, that actually segues nicely to my second question, which was, I believe you said something for the pump track. How does that compare to, say, the Valmont one? I mean, Valmont or Erie, I'm familiar with, but are those similar sizes or square feet look like off the top of my head?
Yeah, I did some aerial comparisons on a satellite and using the measure tool, and we're very comparable to the Valmont bike park, or the Valmont pump track rather, if not possibly even a little bit more. And if we add, if we added on that little kids version over there, we'd probably be surpassing the footprint of the Valmont pump track, which I think would be cool. But we're right in there, kind of similar square footage.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Got no further questions. Presentation. Looking forward to it.
Cool. Thanks for the questions. We're happy to hear any other questions or public comment as well.
I have no questions.
Any public comments?
I have a public comment. Is it a? Do you guys hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Tanya.
Okay, this is Tanya Corvalon. I am a trustee, but more importantly, I'm a parent of a 14-year-old that has been living in this town since 1996. And I just am very in support of this. I feel like we need more options for people to do, and definitely more for kids to do. I have taken my kid down to Valmont Bike Park. It's fun, but it can be fun up here too. I like the asphalt. I was talked into it. At first I did not, but hearing about the sustainability about it, that it can actually be used more seasons, because with the mud, with the dirt, you have to close it, which requires staff to close it when it gets too muddy, which sometimes we might not have. So then people will use it when it's muddy, and then it's going to have to get regraded. And all in all, I'm sold on the asphalt, even though it's expensive. And I'm just like, I'm just tired of waiting for something to happen. That's exciting. I want to acknowledge that there are a lot of people who don't understand the pump track, don't want a pump track, and think it's a waste of money. I have a lot of friends who have told me that. Are we at 3 minutes? Anyway, and I get the point, but at the same time, I mean, I don't use the tennis court or the ice rink. Now that Leo's older, I barely go in the library, but I still think those are assets that need to be in this town. And on a sustainability level, I do think it is more sustainable because of the less maintenance, being able to use all year round. And you have to, like, and if it's dry out, you have to water the pump track, or, I mean, it seems like this is going to be easier on town staff, and all around the better choice, particularly because you can use all vehicles with wheels, not vehicles, but like scooters, skateboards, wheelchairs, anything that's got a wheel, you can use it. So it's inclusive. So I feel like it's going to once it's built, people are going to love it. And it's just, right now, we just got to get through that hurdle. And that's why I think it's important to support it. And that's it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tanya. Larry,
go ahead.
Do you have anything?
I just love this idea. I was excited by it last year, and I say go, go, go. I do have this bias towards small kids, and I do kind of think there would need to be, if it could be, a special loop or something for them. So I would add that, but otherwise, asphalt, yes, and I'm excited.
Thanks, Larry.
All right. And I don't have any questions for you guys either. This is Melody. I'm totally in support. I was one of the signers on that petition. I know teaching my son how to ride a bike in this town was really challenging. Finding a place where I could get him on a bike and get them to start. And I have a relatively flat driveway, but we know that flat in the mountains is not flat. And so I'm happy to see a place that people can actually get on a bike and learn how to ride one in a more, accessible area. And also having it right in our park, right in town.
Thanks. One thing I'll add is Nikki pointed out to us is she's like, I see kids learn how to ride bikes on the basketball court, even though that's not its intended use, all the time. And so it's sort of a natural spot because that's already taken place a little bit, but just a little side note.
All right.
I'd move that we pass a resolution or whatever we're going to call it here for them from SAB to fully support the pump track of ProSab.
I'll second that.
Second that.
All right. And so we will take vote. Chris?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
And I am also enthusiastic, yes. So thank you guys for coming and for all your work on this.
Thanks for having us. And if you have any questions as we go through this process, just feel free to reach out. We're happy to chat.
Way to go. We appreciate this work. Believe me.
We're excited to ride this thing with y'all.
All right. So with that section done, the next thing on our agenda is a zero waste grant opportunity for us to get compost tumblers to town residents. I don't know if this will be Leah or Larry, but one of you go ahead.
I'll speak to that real quick. Sure. Yeah, we're still in the pricing phase right now and figuring out some logistics. So we'll bring that up at the next meeting.
Okay, perfect. And when is that grant due?
Yes, that is due the end of April, towards the end of April.
Okay, our next SAB meeting will be the 20th of April.
Yeah, April 28th. Larry, thoughts?
As I recall, we had kind of worked out something with Miranda where if we got an approval tonight, and if we don't, we don't, but if we did, to move forward, that would have to be presented by SAB, and then, not just Zero Waste Subcommittee. It has to be presented by SAB to BOT, and that we ought to think about doing that in early April, or early as possible, to be ready for the grant deadline. So correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I remember.
Yep, that sounds right. So perhaps I can send those details out via email before the next meeting, but don't have all those details set to move forward with that tonight.
Okay. And so even if we don't have necessarily an amount right now, do the other SAB members feel this is an appropriate opportunity for us to pursue? Can we give Leah the yes, go ahead, and the official SAB support that we want to apply for this grant without the final numbers being in there? I mean, I feel comfortable with that, just so that they can keep going and we can get it on a BOT agenda.
Sure. And would it be helpful for me to give a short overview of what we're going for?
Yeah, could you, and just keeping in mind that I think we're looking for the mid 20,000 range, like maybe 25,000, but that was just like not knowing shipping costs. But
Yes.
Leah, why don't you go ahead with an overview?
Yeah, so it's a mini grant that does require reimbursement. It's a reimbursement grant. So we're planning to apply for 50 or so residential compost tumblers to give to residents for the second half of the Nederland Farmers Market this season, if that works out. And I'm just awaiting the pricing from the manufacturer and what that storage would look like. But it can't go towards labor or marketing or administration. So it's really just supplies and storage. And so we're figuring out how to make distribution happen. But the idea is that we'll provide some kind of a composting solution for at least a portion of the residents, targeting in town first, at least until we get our permanent compost tumbler installed next year. Any questions?
Is there a match for the grant?
There is no match and no reporting. So it's a really small grant. 30,000 is the max, 10,000 I believe is the minimum. And so as Larry mentioned, we're probably looking somewhere in the mid-range, maybe 20,000. We may ask for the full amount depending on what the pricing comes back as. Yeah.
So I just want to emphasize this doesn't cost the town anything at all. But what has to happen, and this is part of BOT approval, definitely, is that the town has to pay for the costs as they are incurred after approval of the grant, and then at some later date, I forget exactly when, but it's written in stone that the town is then reimbursed all that money. So essentially, there's no across the board cost to the town. But we do definitely need BOT approval. This is a very official state grant. It's kind of a big deal, even though it's only in the mid-20s range.
Yes, thanks, Larry. So they would send us the funding if we're awarded in early July, and then it would be reimbursed by the end of the year. So yeah, no match, but we would need that initial amount. The manufacturer requires a 30% deposit, so we could work that out as well. But those are the financial details.
Rich, any questions?
No, it sounds great to me. It sounds like a no-brainer.
Chris?
Oh, I actually have one question for the group also. We sort of debated a bit trying to figure out a solution for businesses versus residents, and it felt like residents was an easier solution in this time, but I am open to other thoughts about that.
No questions. I'm in support.
Yeah, I think I follow your guys' logic on aiming at residents right now with this. That makes sense to me as well. So I suppose I will put forward a motion that SAB supports applying for the Recycling Resources Economic Opportunity Mini Grant to purchase compost tumblers for town residents.
I'll second.
Second.
All right, and we will call a vote. Larry?
Yes, thank you.
Chris?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
And I am also a yes. So yeah, Leah, if you want to just keep working on that, and then when you do have details, send them along to us. And then also when we get on a BOT agenda, let us know what that meeting date is so that SAB members can show up and voice some support.
Thanks for clarifying the process, Melody.
Yeah. All right. If there's nothing else on that, we can move on to the SAB goals dashboard. So Larry sent out an email with that table in it of the dashboard. Him and I get together to figure out how to get it into the right place in the drive so that everybody has access to the Google Docs. But I wanted to bring it back to everybody again, so we can just talk about where we're at and if there's anything more we need to add, and how we go about finalizing this all. So did everybody get a chance to look at that table?
I did not, but it's possible that the email went to my junk. For some reason, Larry's emails sometimes do. No offense intended, Larry.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
I apologize.
For whatever reason, I always
just
find
want to say
Larry's in my spam folder too.
I want to apologize that these, I don't think, are actually available to everybody yet on Docs. And we are going to figure out what the problem is, because I loaded it on in a form that's everything's lined up and looks nice. So I think that would help. And I'm kind of wondering, given the the technical garble that we've had, should we wait maybe? Because I actually would like this to be a thoughtful discussion. And, I sort of feel like, we didn't get the document to you in the right form. So I'm feeling kind of bad about that.
Yeah, I think that's good, Larry. We can move our goals to the April meeting, and I'll make sure that everybody is able to have access to this document before then. And we're also missing a few SAB members, so hopefully they'll be able to join us next month. Does that sound good, everyone?
I think that's a good plan.
All right. It looks like Miranda left us a while ago, but
I'm still here. I'm just under the town clerk because I have to host it.
Oh, town clerk. I didn't even see town clerk there.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm here.
Okay, hi, never mind. I wasn't sure where we put updates on the agenda. Is that next?
Oh, good. Well, we have the discussion items being wild bear, plastic bag fee, and then updates after that. But you can go whatever order you want.
Okay, let's talk about those two real quick then.
Okay.
So Wild Bear Earth Day event, Leah?
Yeah, so my initial thoughts are, well, first, Boulder County is gifting us some seed packets to give out, branded seed packets. So we have a little giveaway. And then I plan to promote our solar programs, both solar programs that are coming up this summer, as well as hopefully have some collateral about tax incentives that are available. And then would love to know what others would like to see represented at the booth. We're also giving away some light bulb kits. There might be something else I'm missing, but that's what we have so far.
That sounds great. And
I'll add that
go
Zero
ahead.
Waste is going to have a display there, and I will be there.
Okay, great. So we'll have a solar table and a zero waste table.
I don't know that we have more than one booth. Do we have more than one booth?
Okay.
It might be a combined town booth, and we'll represent both of those. I think that might be, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's such a tight space, I'm guessing. Yeah, it's a tight space. We're going to probably be in the same space, but it'll be great.
Yeah, I did that event many years ago. And so do you need help from any of us, besides Larry, who already volunteered to be there, to help you table there?
Do we have branded collateral that we typically give out at these type of events?
I mean, we have some designs somewhere. I'm sure Erica passed them along for the US solar thing, right? But I mean, other than that, not really.
Okay. Go ahead.
I think that was just background noise.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the only thing I can think of is flyers to probably print, but it'll be just more of an informational booth than giveaways.
All right. Anyone else have any suggestions of anything else we should have there? I think that sounds all encompassing to me, but just want to make sure we're not missing anything. All right. Well, do you have everything you need from us then, Leah?
I think so. Thanks, everyone.
Perfect. So the next discussion item is the plastic bag fee ordinance.
Yeah, so it's Miranda. We took the plastic bag fee ordinance and the styrofoam ban before the DDA and just asked them if they had any questions or thoughts, as you had all directed us to do. And they're in full support. They feel like this is something that is important. And what they basically asked is, let's try to get that ordinance, the plastic bag fee ordinance, back online, even though it's in our code. Let's update it to match current state statute, and then get that added back in as an effective measure mid-year. And then they didn't necessarily feel like putting in the styrofoam ban early was appropriate, because they want to be sure businesses have enough time to push out the styrofoam they may be using now, and then can start to purchase recyclable or compostable as they start to finish out using their styrofoam. So they thought an effective date for that of being January 1st, 2024 was still appropriate, giving people time to do the transition. So really our ask is there one or two SAB members who would like to join me and Leah to work on these draft ordinances? We, of course, would bring it back to SAB for review, but we'd like a SAB member to work alongside us as we work on developing the ordinances that are needed.
Miranda, I would be delighted to help
Fabulous.
do that. Assuming it fits in my very busy schedule, as you mentioned.
Yeah, want that travel. So what I'll do is I'll send an email, if there's nobody else, Rach, we could just send an email, and you and me and Leah, we can all find some time to just have an initial conversation.
Well,
That
I'm
works
happy
for me.
to volunteer. I'm happy to volunteer if anybody else besides Rich, unless somebody else wants to. But I'm following this closely, so I'm happy to volunteer, unless somebody else wants to do it. I think it's kind of a big deal.
Sorry, I was muted. That sounds great. Yeah, we'd like to keep it where you don't have to publicly notice it. And so if it's you, Larry, Rich, myself, and Leah, I will send a follow-up email and we can get that going.
Sounds good. All right. And so then the last things on our agenda are just updates. So are there any committee updates? Anything else from Zero Waste, Larry?
I'll only mention just in passing that this mini grant that we're looking at right now, I'm hoping is just a prelude to a full big grant for several $100,000 that we will do next year. And I want us to succeed on this mini grant because I think it could prep us for the big grant. And that grant, in my hopes, and I think the subcommittee's feels exactly the same way, is to institute compost hauling for all the businesses in Nederland and to make it free for probably the first 2 years. And then so that we would just go to them, the businesses, and ask them to participate in a free program rather than trying to tell them what to do by ordinance or something else. So I just wanted to share that with you because that takes a bigger full grant. That takes a lot of planning, and Leah and I are on board on this, and we're discussing it going forward. But I just wanted to let you know that we're working on this. Leah, if you have anything to add on that, please do.
Perfect. Larry, thanks.
That's exciting news, Larry. Looking forward to it. Any other committee updates? All right. And then the last thing would be sustainability coordinator updates. So Leah, anything that you're working on you want to update us on, and maybe just give us a rundown of how you're feeling after starting this job and how things are going.
Yeah, thanks, Melody. Yeah, so one thing that I wanted to ask everyone about is that PI through Boulder County has some extra funds that we can spend. One option is to do a gap analysis about for reaching our sustainability goals by 2025 and what that might look like. We could also, it's about $2,000, so that would nearly cover a gap analysis, and they may be able to cover the rest there and provide some additional funding. Or we can contribute it to marketing efforts for summer campaigns that we have going on. Those are kind of the two options. There could be something else too. I'm leaning towards the gap analysis myself, since we don't have a lot of professional help on the analysis and planning side. Would love to know your thoughts. Well, then I will continue by saying that this month has been awesome in the role, and I'm really enjoying it. The solar campaigns that are coming out are a little bit in limbo right now. The community solar garden campaign, as you all know, they're redoing their system, which should hopefully be a vast improvement over what it was before. But I haven't heard back from them about whether or not it's ready to go, and if we are still planning to launch in April. And I'm working with Nicole on that marketing plan still, but we're just waiting for some collateral from them and confirmation about their system. And then the rooftop solar campaign, we are working to get that on the agenda for the April 4th BOT meeting, and also waiting to hear back from them as well. So plugging along on those two, but they're a bit in limbo at this moment. And then we plan to go for the Charge Ahead Colorado grant again in the coming year. So looking at locations for that. And then that's about it as far as updates for me. So it sounded like there were no strong thoughts on how to spend that additional funding. So if there are no objections, I will move forward with a gap analysis. Any yays or nays?
Yeah, I'm in support of that.
Yay, sounds great. Excellent.
Yes, I've got to be quick because my dog's going to bark. I don't want to subject people to that. So just yeah.
Yep.
Thanks all.
All right. Well, that was a quick meeting, just an hour. Is anybody else have anything else they want to bring up before we end? Go ahead, Chris.
Totally is not SAB related, but I just think we need to. I just want to, round of applause for our town administrator, Dr. Fisher. Having been through this myself, congratulations, Miranda. Huge accomplishment.
Woo!
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Melody, you indicated our next meeting is the 20th. Shouldn't it be the 27th?
Huh. You are right. I was looking at my calendar wrong. It would be the 27th.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. Well, without further ado, we can adjourn the meeting at 7:53 p.m.
Have a great night, everyone.